Got it.
Cool.
Got it.
All right, Nerf on Channel 93.3, and I am here with 21 Pilots. Tyler and Josh, how are you?
Doing great.
Great.
Doing great.
The Town Takeover Tour. It's a brilliant idea. I like it for a lot of reasons, but I'm kind of curious, like, why you guys wanted to do something like this.
It really does embody our career. When we really first started, I guess we're kind of condensing 10 years of touring into 1 week. We came to Denver and played these small rooms and then worked our way up. And so to pick some of these cities out that have stood out to us as really important and awesome, to be a part of the growth of the story of our band, and to spend the week and hit each one of those venues again, all kind of in one moment in time, has been something we've wanted to do for a while. And yeah, we're glad we're getting around to it.
That's awesome. Seems to me like it'd be a lot more comfortable way to kind of do things too. You like settle in a little bit in a spot. You don't have to go from place to place as often.
Yeah, we rented a house. So, very rarely do we get to go to a house after a show. Only in our hometown, honestly. And so to be able to, stay somewhere for 1 week, it's definitely less taxing. Trying to get, to a new city every night kind of takes it out on you a little bit. And so this is definitely more low key. But the energy is really exciting to see it, to see the show in so many different venues, back to back like that, is really cool to kind of be forced to relive a portion of your career that you may have forgotten a little bit ago. And I don't know, it's a great reminder of where we came from, and it makes you appreciate what we've accomplished, really. And it also keeps us on our toes, because we, 2 nights ago we played a tiny little, postage stamp stage, and then getting to the Ogden, and then, and then moving up. And so, you got to watch where you step. You might step off the stage sometimes.
What's cool too is that when we've played these venues in the past, Tyler and I would kind of stand backstage and peek out and see, how many people were in the room, if there were any. And there was, especially the small ones, there was just oftentimes not really an idea of how many people would be there to show up. And so to go back into these rooms and, look at each other before a show and just be like, everyone's here, there are people out there, and it is cool. I mean, like he said, to relive kind of those venues and that time in our careers. It's really fun so far. We're on week 1.
Yeah, you're just starting out for sure. Now, at the end of October, you're going back to your hometown, and in Columbus. So I noticed on the tour, it's all nationwide. Is that what's? I mean, I'm sure you guys played some rinky-dink venues in Columbus.
Yeah. Well, the original idea for the Takeover Tour happened because a few years ago we did this concept in Columbus, Ohio, where we're from, and in 1 week we called it Tour Day Columbus. We did the small club, and then the small theater, and then a ballroom style, and then a larger outdoor venue, and then the arena. So we've done this concept. So we're taking this on the road and picking some select cities for it to happen. And then, we just couldn't not have Columbus on the bill, and it just felt right to just, do the arena each time over there. So yeah, it's kind of sad. I kind of miss playing, because we played almost every venue in Columbus all the way,
Sure.
all the way up.
Yeah.
At this point. So, but
now
it'll be fun to get there.
Yeah, totally. I bet, like a big homecoming, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The Bluebird show, right at the beginning during the first song, like I looked down and Tyler, the smile on your face was like immense. I mean, was it go through that feeling like of playing live shows again and all that stuff? Just what was it like to be back on a stage and starting this tour?
Well, in all honesty, there was a time where I seriously looked at Josh, during this past year and a half where live music was really put on hold. And I looked at him and thought, I told him, I was like, I don't know if I think we may have played our last show and didn't know it. I didn't know if we were ever going to get back to this. It really felt like that. It really felt a little hopeless at times. And even as we got closer and closer to these dates, you still never know what's going to happen. It feels like at any moment you could get some bad news. And I think to finally be up on the stage was just this release of a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry and a lot of concern, and really just the unknown of whether or not the tour was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And just all of those kind of different questions. And so to get up there and then actually get into the first song, and here we are, was the first moment where it's like, well, I don't think that they can stop at least this show now that it's going. I think this one's going to go all the way through. So I think maybe that's part of why I was so excited to be up there.
Yeah. Now it's really hard, like you mentioned, to keep a tour on the tracks right now. Like, are there any precautions that you guys are taking that are like that? Or you're just like, I can't believe we have to do this, or is it all like pretty much just kind of keep to yourself and like just play the shows?
It's tough because we roll with a pretty awesome crew, a lot of guys and girls that we've been working with for a long time. I mean, first off, it's such an exciting. There's a nuance to being on tour right now that is it's equally scary and exciting, because it's scary in the sense, obviously, you never know when you're going to get a curveball about someone getting sick, and it kind of really can change a lot of things. And we've seen this happen where tours get canceled or postponed or pushed back. And but at the same time, it's exciting because the live music industry and these touring personnel, I mean, they were the first industry that had to stop. And you could argue that they're the last industry to get back going. And so a lot of these people just haven't been able to do what it is that they're good at. What the skills that they've developed were, put on hold for this entirety of the last, year and a half that live music has been frozen in time. And so it's exciting because they're excited to just get back there and work again. And so, it's a bit of a, on an off day, what do? We try to be smart. We can't do meet and greets. We can't go out and, hang out in a bar, inside. And there's things we're asking our crew to do to be, diligent with when it comes to masking and just decisions that they make on how they spend their time, because we don't want to not be able to interact with them. But the truth is, Josh and I, we rented a house in Denver, and we're just staying here. We're trying not to, other than maybe getting food and picking it up and eating outside and trying to be smart, but we're doing everything we can to make sure that, people who paid for a ticket and are excited for us to play, like, it's on us to be responsible to make sure we get to that date. So It's a bit of a challenge, but we're up for it.
That's cool. That's very cool. Now, playing these small venues, is it bringing back any memories of smaller venues? I mean, a lot of which you've already played, but is there any backstages or any places that are just total dumps and you were like, oh man, I can't believe we have to go back there?
Yeah, of course.
You saw us at the Bluebird.
Yeah, well, but I think that even the past the past couple tours, arena tours that we've done, it's been a couple times where Tyler and I have just reminisced and just been like, man, I kind of miss those playing live music. I think my memories, I think, will always be the traveling around in a van and hitting truck stops and gas stations along the way, and just figuring out what kind of diet to be on. And what to eat late at night, and then just all of those hours spent waiting for a show in some really small dressing room with graffiti writing all over the wall and stickers everywhere, it's just I do feel like that sort of environment is more conducive to memory making than a locker room that kind of looks the same every night. And there are pros and cons, obviously, to both things, and it's really fun to be able to go around and play large venues all over the world. But yeah, totally going back to some of those dumps of a dressing room, is nostalgic, and And I think that this tour will create even more memories because of that. So it's it's really fun and cool.
That's cool. Now you guys are playing like you did at the Bluebird, but the other shows you're playing with a full band and like with other musicians. Like, so what's the difference? Does it feel? Is it easier? Is it harder? Is it like do you feel like you get a better performance out of everything, or go through the decision and like how it's going?
I mean, we were really worried about how it was how do we incorporate more players into the show, and we wanted to be very, respectful and careful of, people who've been a fan of our band. It's, it's the two of us. And that's all it's ever been. And so we definitely didn't want to, betray what it is that people knew of us. So we were, I guess, semi-concerned, but I knew that some of these songs specifically that we were starting to write and release were so conducive to me being really being downstage center and front manning the moment rather than focusing on playing instruments, and for Josh to be kind of leading a group of other people who are playing those instruments is a really cool dynamic that we knew we had it in us, both of us wanting to kind of fill those roles. And so I think the way that we've set it up is really great, because the first half, if not, third, I think the first half or first third of the set is still just Josh and I. We come out and it's what you remember. And then we introduce them tastefully, and then they become more and more incorporated in the set. It's cool to see older songs, like a song like Message Man, one that I've always been a little uncomfortable playing live. All of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what this song always should have felt like live. And it's been with other band members and other people who are, filling out that sound so that, it leaves room for Josh and I to really own our parts. But at the same time, obviously it's really cool to see the new songs manifested with these new players. But then, when the set ends, it goes back to just Josh and I. And I think the set's really balanced, and it's a little bit of everything. And I love playing the set, so I'm excited about it.
Very cool. Very cool. So to get to Scaled and Icy for a sec, like there's so many layers. It's like, there's kind of this like overarching story. There's the story kind of the album itself. Each song has its own message, and instrumentally even like different textures and stuff. When it's this much of an onion and you're putting these things together with so many layers, is there a place where you guys commonly kind of start? Do you start at the outermost layer or the innermost layer to come up with the idea for each song?
That's a good question. I think you can do both. The great thing about our records is there's always been an underlying theme. There's always been a story being told, and whether or not the listener wanted to dive into what that narrative would be, or if they just wanted to kind of casually listen to, the surface of the record, which is totally fine. And a lot of people listen to music that way. But we knew that the fans that we were, running into, at the beginning stages of us playing shows, like they always, I know for me, I always craved more out of my music. I wanted there to be a story. I wanted there to be, something being said, other than just what was, on the surface. And so we're really lucky to have fans that are excited about wanting to dive into a real narrative. And Scaled and Icy is a bit of a continuation of that story. And we like to keep it, low key. We don't want it to be some sort of prerequisite to enjoy the record. But where you wanted to search for what, song meanings are, and what the name of the record it means, and what the colors are meaning, and the different imagery that we're using, it all ties back to a story that's continuing to be told. And it just makes me more and more excited for the next record that's going to build on that, and in a sense kind of wrap that story up too. So it's I'm glad we've done it this way. I see a lot of bands and artists just kind of like release a new record and try to concoct this new era. We've been really diligent in building a story that goes very, very deep, and we have as much inspiration to draw from as we want from this narrative. And so it's exciting to be able to dip into that. And honestly, we've reacted to our fans and been inspired by them more than they'll ever know. They're taking to that story and kind of building on that lore, and it's made it more important to us. And so we treat the story within the records with more care, because we know there are people that actually care about it. I'm glad that this is the way that our band has turned out, and Josh and I were just texting about this a couple of days ago, like after our first show on this tour. It's like, man, I wouldn't want to be playing music with anyone else. And so it's cool to have that feeling this far into the game.
That's awesome. Have you guys I was just thinking about it. You guys are getting into relationships, you're becoming fathers, it's like life is going. And a lot of times, even those things, with friends can change the dynamic of a relationship. I mean, you guys feel like exactly the same kids that you were when you were kids, Are
you asking if we're still friends? Because I feel like
do you guys still like each other at all?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. What do you think, Josh?
I don't know. A lot's changed.
You've changed, man.
No, don't. We've talked about in the past that is like one of the worst things that you could say to somebody is that you've changed, because it's just so broad, and it's just like, is that good or bad? Have I changed?
You've lost your edge. That's another one.
Ooh, that one.
Lost your edge.
Yeah.
That's one you can lay in bed at night and think.
It's like take the punker card right off, like out of your wallet. Just like, sorry.
I think, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, we've said this before, but because this band, Tyler and I playing music together, it really started with a friendship first. I think that was really important, because I think then, that sort of like respect of a friend, kind of just is the base layer of this band, and and milestones in Tyler's life. I'm always stoked for, and sometimes that changes logistics of things. I think like, adding significant other or something can change a logistic of like what show day will look like or something. But I think it's all cool and it's all good, and it's part of the journey, and I don't think that changes our relationship on a personal level, other than just supporting each other.
That's cool. So the kids haven't gotten in the way, the girls haven't gotten in the way.
Yeah, no, we go to less gas stations to get crappy food, I guess, is kind of like the only main difference.
Right.
That's good. You're both healthier for it, for sure. Now, so has it changed the way you guys write? Has it I know there's, you guys seem very happy, for one thing, some of the angstier messages, the angstier themes, I guess, sometimes when an artist gets happy can be hard to achieve, with legitimacy. But this album is deep, and it's got all those aspects to it. With your current state of wow, things are going well, is it harder to get to those places?
It's a good question. I mean, of course, you're, the season in life that you're in is always going to, at least for me as a lyricist, is going to impact the type of music, the style of music. I will say that, as much as it feels like, we've hit a stride in our personal lives, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of those big questions that we've been asking from the beginning have all been answered. I do think that the younger versions of ourselves, the things that we were struggling with and dealing with, and trying to solve with music, they didn't get solved. It's almost like an injury, like if you get a fresh injury to like your knee and you start limping, you're in pain. Every step you take, you're reminded of that thing, and it's a concern. You don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know how to fix it. I guess in a sense now, it's not like that injury's gone away. It's healed in a sense, but we just limp now, and we're used to that gait, and we don't think of, we almost forget what it's like to not have that injury, and we've learned to cope. And I think maybe that's a part of life, is becoming okay with not knowing all of those answers. And I think the younger versions of ourselves felt like it was do or die to come up with the answer. And so inevitably your music's going to be different. Your art's going to be different. The older that you get. And I think it has something to do with just learning to live with the hand that you're dealt. But at the same time, it's still there. It's still, there's still that injury, that thing that you wish you could fix. And I think that because of that, there will always be a place for us to be writing music, because it does allow us to go that deep. It allows us to revisit those things that we've always kind of spoken about through our music. So yeah, it's different now. It definitely is, but it's at the same time, it never, I don't think it'll ever fully change.
Right. Well, hey, I gotta say, we've already kept you for a long time here, and and thank you for all the answers. Thank you for the questions. Man, thank you for this album. I love the album. It's it's not only it's every bit of 21 Pilots album. It's everything you want in a 21 Pilots album, and it's gone to a different kind of aesthetic than I think you guys have ever gone to before. It's so listenable and it's just rad. It's because
before we were unlistenable.
It was totally caustic,
unlistenable
to the ears, and
no, but I hear what you're saying, and that means a lot. It's a weird thing to put a new fresh batch of songs out there, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing, the excitement and the concern, the worry, and just the nerves of releasing music is always going to be something that is like nothing else. And so anyway, it means a lot that you say that. So I appreciate that.
Well, hey, and by the way, I want you to know that we don't name the station after every band that comes through town. And we totally gutted the station, all of the sound, everything. It is KTOP this whole week.
There you go.
And it's because we love you guys that much, man. There's there's no band we do it for other than you guys. And it's been so awesome. I think people kind of see the big hug we're sending your way, and
yeah.
And welcome to Denver,
and we've loved our time here.
That's cool. That's great. I'm glad you guys are loving it, and come back anytime for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.